Well, I mean, I think one of the things I've always tried to follow in life is that if on Monday morning I'm not excited to go to work, I do two things. Number one, I don't go to work. And number two, I hit the reset button. And it happened 3 times in my life when I had to hit the reset button. And each time was, going into the abyss, but it led to greater growth. And so I was an engineer working at a tech company and getting very bored. We had shipped the product. They didn't really have much for us to do. And I switched from engineering to international marketing within the company, which was tremendous. I mean, there's a lot of learning and growth. And then again, a couple of years after that, that was kind of plateauing out. And I left to start my own business. So that was the second reset. And then in around 1999, so I heard about Warren Buffett accidentally in 94. I was 30 years old at the time. And when I read about him, I said, there were a couple of big epiphanies for me. So I'd never, gone to business school or invested or bought a stock or any of that. But what really surprised me about Buffett when I read about him in 94, because the first couple of biographies on him had just come out, is that basically the framework he was using to make investments is the exact same framework we use as entrepreneurs. The framework to making investments in the stock market and the framework I would use, for example, when I was running my IT business to figure out, okay, where do I want to invest the excess capital? I'm looking at the highest return, lowest risk possibilities, right, in the business. That's what all of you are doing. And so actually, Buffett has a quote. He said, I'm a better businessman because I'm an investor, and I'm a better investor because I'm a businessman. So he had this very business approach to investing, which made a lot of sense to me. And at the same time, what I noticed at that time was that I didn't know there was a hedge fund industry, but I knew there was a mutual fund industry. When I looked at the mutual fund industry, I saw that these mutual funds had hundreds of stocks. They had like 80% annual turnover. And they were violating all these basic framework rules of Ben Graham and Warren Buffett. And so I said, it's really strange. You kind of have like people who say that I don't believe in gravity. So whether you believe in gravity or not, it's going to affect you. So I had a theory at that time that if someone who had no investing experience applied Buffett's framework to investing, that person should do better than the 90% of yo-yos running funds. And, an idea is like an asshole. Everyone has one. It doesn't mean anything. So I had sold a small portion of my business at that time. I had about $1 million after taxes and everything. So I said, okay, I'll take the $1 million. I'll invest it in the public markets, and I want to see what happens. I want to see what I can do. It went really well. I think in 5 years, the $1 million was 13 million. It was like north of 70% a year. And so I said, well done, Monish. I knew you could do this. And so I was more and more interested in investing and compounding, less and less interested in running an IT business with 170 people. And my job turned into basically herding cats. You know about herding cats. I think you're like every day herding cats. And so I said, I don't want to herd cats. I'm done with herding cats. I just want to sit in my room with 0 employees and just invest. And so I called our forum moderator. I said, my head is all screwed up. I don't want to go to work on Monday. There's nobody to resign to. I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do, because I'm ready to hit the reset button. So I had a nice session with my forum, and they said something really simple to me. They said, you can own the business without running it. I said, oh, why didn't I think about that? That's a great idea. And so they said, look, put a smile on your face, go back to work for 6 months, start a search for a CEO. In 6 months or less, you'll find the guy, hand over the reins, and then go to whatever the hell you want to do. And so that's what I did. And I left the business, new CEO came in, and then about 4 or 5 weeks after that, he called me and said, someone wants to buy the company. And he had relocated from Dallas. My business was in Chicago. I don't want to pull the rug out from under him. So I said, I don't want to do anything here that is disruptive to you. What do you want to do? What would you like me to do? He said, sell it. So all his options, everything was going to vest on change of control instantaneously after 4 weeks of work. So, and the other beautiful thing was that the buyers wanted to lock him up. They wanted nothing to do with me. So they were going to give him a new deal, So he rings the register after 4 weeks, gets a new deal. So of course he's saying sell it, So we sold the business. And the only thing they asked of me is they said, we want a non-compete, that, you're not going to enter the IT business for like 4 years. I said, look, can we make it like 40 years? And we can add a few more million to the purchase price. They said, no, we just want 4 years. So I tried to get some more money for them, but I knew I wasn't going back to herding cats. So that's the story.